Good afternoon, everyone. My name, as said, is Kwabena. I'm with a Jospong group of companies, and I stand here to extend the executive chairman's greetings to all of you. You should have been here to also share with you some thought with regards to the ESG being the pathway through which Africa can attain our green transition economies. As part of the group, we have the arm that is known as the Jospong Green Transition, and the sole objective of the green transition was to drive sustainability through climate action, circular economy models, and also low carbon development within all the various sectors that the company finds itself. And so this particular team, looking at the aspect of putting ESG and sustainability first in Africa's green transition efforts, sits well with the group. And it's no wonder we are part of the sponsors. My boss is not here because there's a huge demand of our services in Africa, 25 countries and still counting. So he's seriously engaging. With them also seeing our footprint in Ghana and wanting the same to be seen in their country. Chairman and co-chairs, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen gathered here, media, it is an honor to stand before you today at such a very defining moment in our shared journey. The world had spoken about climate action for so many decades. This is not a new phenomenon. It's something that has been existing for far too long. But for now, that is to talk about the year 2025, it marks the moment where, as individuals, as corporate entities, talks must become a tangible action. And where aspirations are now being translated or matched with much more sustainable impact. The title, as already said, is From Promises to Progress, leading the green industry revolution in the year 2025 and beyond. And in this particular topic, it captures the urgency and the importance of our time. Coming back to understanding the space, we cannot overlook the fact that there have been quite a number of achievements. Looking at the rising awareness, which of course had mandated this particular conference, and the various kind of activities, commitment made within, we can say that over 80% of Fortune 500 companies today have sustainability goals, and that is well noted. The Paris Agreement has reshaped global discourse. At the same time, the net zero pledges are now a household words, and the ESG conversations are embedded in our boardrooms, as it has been said here over and over. Looking at the area of regulatory progress, the European Union's corporate sustainability reporting directives is something that is no more a voluntary thing. We're talking about the United States SEC climate disclosure rules. These are all enforceable kind of regulation that are needed to be adhered to. We've gone beyond having voluntary systems. Everything now is becoming mandatory. And so the earlier Africa begins to position ourselves to align with all these compliance, the better it will be for us, and the easier it would enable us to transition into the green economy. Greenwashing is no longer an acceptable thing. Companies that mislead faces fines and reputational losses as well as legal actions. Looking at the area of technology, technology has had enough role in ensuring the green transition. There are a lot of breakthroughs. We all know about artificial intelligence, which is helping us to optimize systems. as much as being able to measure. And so we can rely on it to also cut down false claims, where blockchains are ensuring security, supply chain systems, and then also helping us to extend our capacity in the area of renewable energy and other areas of operation. In the year 2024, 82% of our newly recorded power capacity globally was all on the renewable energy. Taking the last point is financial transformation. We all know that the role of finance is critical in this deliberation of ESG. ESG assets now represent trillions in global capital. Investors are rewarding sustainability leaders with lower kind of interest rates, looking at sustainably linked kind of loans, and then impact-driven kind of investment. These are all opportunities within the financial space under the ESG assets. These are some of them. There are quite a number of them too that, because of time, we will not be able to explore. These are all systems that have been set in place to prove that sustainability is real and is no longer a fringe concern. It's something that you and I must consider it as a mainstream driver of our kind of competitiveness in the business space, and then also enhancing trust with our clients, and then also ensuring that the company survives. That said, does not mean that we don't have challenges. There are challenges before us. Looking at the fact that the pledges made, the declarations made, the global emissions still remain stubbornly high, because the challenge is that the impact will not be realized within a short possible time. And so it looks as though no effort or less effort is being done. But the truth is that much has been done. But for it to reflect, it takes time. The temperature still has risen beyond the pre-industrial levels. And as we know, the Paris Agreement was set to arrest it at 2 degrees Celsius. And then with strategies, drive it down. But as we speak, it's still rising. So does that mean that no effort has been put in place? No. Studies shows that while 80% of companies have set climate goals, it's only 25% that have embedded them into their operations. And we talk about only 27 of the pledges also made since 2015 have resulted to a measurable reduction in terms of the emission. This gap between word and deed is the greatest challenge that you and I need to face if we need to drive towards the transition into the green economy. The green industrial revolution, I see it as the pathway that we all need to embrace. We are at the dawn of which a call to the green industrial revolution has become more necessary than before. Like the past industrial revolution, it would reshape production. For sure, it will reshape our finances and the society. But unlike the coal, the steam revolutions of history, this one stands on 3 main pillars, where it delivers growth without distraction. We talk about innovation without exploitation, and we talk about progress without pollution. How do we make progress? To make progress are 3 main suggestions. We first of all must all come to the point of moving away from voluntary to more enforceable actions. If we need to achieve that, we must move beyond optional sustainability reports and embrace mandatory standardized disclosures, which has been spoken at length at this conference. We have to also look at regulators. They must expand the carbon pricing, making polluters to pay and innovators to thrive. By so doing, over the 75 carbon pricing initiatives, as we all are aware of, has the capacity to cover not less than 23% of the global emissions. if we are to expand the carbon pricing mechanisms. The second point that we need to look at for is from symbolism to science-based solutions. Pledges must align with science-based targets that must limit the warming potentials to 1.5, as has been said. The other thing under that is also about life cycle assessment on product, services, everything. There must be an independent audit to ensure we are comfortable and we are sure of the impact it's going to have on our environment. Then again, there must be a third-party verification that must give comfort to whatever the system or the product is going to offer to our society. And this must become a standard way of practice so as we'll be able to drive towards the green economy as we are looking for. Finally, from isolated efforts to a much more integrated ecosystem. Talking to business owners here, governments, we're talking about investors, we must all form a very strong alliance in ensuring that we leave no loop for anything to thrive, but we make sure we cover all gaps as we put together policies, business plans, and investment proposals. We must also scale circular economy models that reduces waste and turn byproducts into resources. And then also for developing regions, especially Africa where we are, we must ensure that sustainability is not perceived as a burden. We all know the challenges that goes with the sustainability pathway. It requires a huge investment. And most of the time, our eyes are on the investment. And therefore, it tends to look as a burden. But if we are to move away and look at the core benefits that it comes with, that outweighs the aspect of the cost, I think it would cause us to become very innovative, take steps that would enable us to overcome the financial challenges and draw down inclusive growth, jobs, and resilience into our environment. What are the opportunities within the space? Opportunities abound for leadership. Friends, this is not just a crisis. For I see it as an opportunity. You and I today, as a business person, must embed ESG principle in our activities. And it should no longer be a charity thing, but rather a good business practice. For those who will lead, will enjoy investors' confidence. They would also reduce costs. They would ensure that customer loyalty is improved. And for those who lag behind, who face penalties, capital costs will be high for them, and then also loss of relevance in their area. To our policymakers, by enforcing carbon pricing, it would incentivize clean technologies, and then harmonizing reporting standards. Government can now accelerate transformation while protecting the economies that we are building for ourselves. For our investors, capital is power. By shifting a fraction of the 40 trillion already ESG assets that we have, just a fraction into a clean technology, renewable infrastructure, and a sustainable enterprises, investors can literally finance the future. And therefore, it's becoming critical than we ever think. Africa and the developing world, which is our focus. Allow me to highlight one critical dimension. The role of Africa is critical. It has been underscored in this conference that we hold the solution, yet little is being done to our side in driving the change. The global south, we are the solution. Our nations have contributed least to the climate crisis. However, the hardest consequences are mostly found in our areas. In areas of drought, we're talking about flood, biodiversity loss, we also must see these challenges as an opportunity. In which way? We have huge untapped renewable energy potential. In solar, wind, hydro, we need to leverage on them and ensure that we are able to protect our ecosystem. We have a young, innovative workforce ready to pioneer the green solutions. Let's give them the chance. Let's create the ecosystem for them, and we will see the benefit of that. Then again, we have natural capital. Yesterday, there was a discussion on how do we quantify that natural capital. It is high time that we begin to, if the global north would not assist in taking them, we can begin to trade with our own natural capital among us as Africans, and that will become a resource to enable us to transition from the conventional way of business into the circular economy, as we are all talking about. For this to happen, I cannot underrule the fact that the international cooperation is needed. The Article 6 Paris Agreement is needed. Thank God Ghana has taken the lead, and we are doing very well. We thank the Ministry of Environment, the Ghana government, and the EPA for leading in such a situation. That enables us to do exchange of carbon credits, green financing, technology transfer in a much more equitable, transparent, and accessible order. Call to action. So what must we do? As business owners, we must move from glossary corporate social responsibility reporting to much more verifiable ESG integration, where we become responsible with setting up sustainable KPIs and ensure that we leave them not for any other. Policymakers expand carbon pricing, enhance or enforce disclosures, and build green infrastructure that will enable us to thrive, for businesses to be able to tap in and be able to unlock some of the green financing that are available. Looking at the investors, channel capitals into sustainable linked instruments, such as the clean technology and the climate resilient ecosystems. Academia and that of the civil society keep us accountable. Generate the data, build the capacity, and hold everyone accountable, even including the science. Every individual demand transparency in all your engagement. Choose sustainability and hold leaders accountable. For moving from promises to progress, ladies and gentlemen, the age of symbolic commitment is over. The future will not be written by those who pledge, but then it would always be remembered by those who deliver. In the word of a proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is for you and I to do it now. We cannot wait any further. The tools are available. The science is very clear. The market is shifting. Policies are emerging. The technologies are ready. What are we waiting for? What do we need? What does the history demands of us? All that they want from you and I today is the courage to act, the will to collaborate, the SDG 17, and the determination to lead. Together, let us move from promises to progress. Let us just not imagine a sustainable world, but let us build it. Let us verify it, and let it bequeath the kind of future you and I are looking for. May God bless us all. Thank you for your attention.